Hey there, LBT Squad. I'm your host, Alex Popp. It's Halloween, when everyone is entitled to one good scare. And I think it's about time I did a Halloween special for this channel. I have come to really appreciate the spirit of the holiday. See, when I was growing up, Halloween was always pretty low-key for my family. We'd go to a corn maze or a game night at church on Halloween night, but not much beyond that. My mom would always tell me that the way people celebrate Halloween these days is just a glorification of evil and darkness. And while I have nothing against my mom, I am ever grateful for how she raised me. I really don't see it that way now that I'm older. From what I've observed, we don't celebrate Halloween in the same reverent way we do Christmas, Easter, or Thanksgiving. Sure, there may be Satanists out there who see it as a sacred time of year, but by and large, we treat Halloween in a more jestful way, don't we? Over the last 5 years or so, I've come to see it as a light-hearted and even rather cathartic holiday. I had given a lot of thought into why it is that we enjoy getting scared, and it hit me with more clarity upon hearing a line from the movie Haunting in Venice.
Is it not too frightening for the children?
Scary stories make life less scary.
I feel like Halloween has that very effect. I recognize there are many of my brethren in Christ who have their convictions against celebrating Halloween. I respect that, and I would never try to talk them out of it. I just hope they can see the perspective that other Christians, including myself, as well as the vast majority of seculars, have on the holiday. And I believe it's that we see it as a great time for us to deal with our fears and make light of them. And to coincide with the spirit of Halloween, facing fear is a theme of today's topic. So I'm getting into something that I don't usually care to talk much about on this channel, the Land Before Time TV series. This was Universal's attempt at expanding the accessibility to the franchise by having the Land Before Time branch out into a Saturday morning cartoon. And honestly, I have to wonder why that didn't happen sooner, like after the first few sequels when the brand was in its heyday. And in a perfect world, more Land Before Time would be great, but this TV series would do little to distinguish itself from most other animated children's shows, other than the plain fact that it's called The Land Before Time, and we generally associate that name with the movies that have formed their own identity. Really generic plot lines that have been done to death in children's TV would take up a good deal of the show's single season. Take episodes like The Amazing Three-Horn Girl and The Days of Rising Waters, just to name a few. There was next to no thought put into any of the music. Most of the 1-minute songs are just conversations set to the same melody like 15 times over. And sometimes they would even recycle the tunes of some of the classic songs from the movies and give them totally different subject and lyrics. There were moments with a few of our heroes where their in-characterness was questionable, plus egregious out-of-character moments with old supporting characters. Indeed, they used the show as their opportunity to bring back a bunch of guest characters from the movies, but never seemed to have any idea what to do with them, with one or two exceptions. And while the animation is fine for a Cartoon Network show of the day, it's still a bit flat compared to most of the movies, and includes dozens of glaring errors. And is it just me, or are the characters more detailed in the theme song sequence than in the actual show? Land Before Time fans seem to be in widespread agreement that the franchise went downhill after the Great Longneck Migration, and the TV series would ultimately prove to be another product of that. However, in that sea of mediocrity, there are a few patches of light, and I suppose as Edda's sister would say in the situation,
just when things get darkest, that's when you look for the light.
And one of these bright spots is the topic of this Halloween special. The show's 15th episode, The Spooky Nighttime Adventure, which was even adapted into a paperback book. It must have been pretty rare because that book goes for an arm and a leg on eBay. It opens with the gang of 7 telling each other scary stories in the dark. The one that sets the plot in motion is one Ruby heard out in the mysterious beyond, a legend so spooky that even Sharp Teeth tell it to their children. It's about a creature known as the Hidden Runner, a sharp tooth that eats you in your sleep. But no one's ever gotten a good look at him because he can turn invisible.
Whenever you think you see something, but nothing's there, maybe whatever was there you didn't see was the hidden runner.
Might you even say, he is the who when you call who's there? As the kids all go to bed that night, Ruby's story proves to be nightmare fuel for all of them. And as forgettable as the vast majority of the music in the show is, whether lyrical or instrumental, the creepy music in Ducky's Nightmare really goes hard.
Spike?
I get some rhythmic goosebumps out of that. The next morning, everyone except for Cera admits to having bad sleep stories because of Ruby's story, and Petrie even claims that he actually saw Hidden Runner in the flesh.
Okay, Petrie, then what did this invisible runner look like?
Like nothing.
This episode does have a few moments of Petrie logic at its finest. Ruby, however, insists that Hidden Runner is nothing more than a story.
I know everything I know about Hidden Runner is a story. I know I even made parts of it up.
Just because you make story up, not mean story not true.
Oh yeah, just ask Morgan Robertson. How's that for keeping you awake at night? So Ruby suggests that maybe going to Mr. Thicknose about this will help ease their minds. While Petrie still swears he saw Hidden Runner for real, Ruby asks Thicknose to put their fears to rest and assure them that it's not real. But she's met with the last response she was expecting.
So, Hidden Runner is back, eh?
I gotta say, I never really liked Mr. Thicknose's voice in the TV series. It's Dorian Harewood, best known as 8-Ball in Full Metal Jacket. Mr. Thicknose makes several appearances in the show, and even when I caught a few episodes back when it was airing, I was so distracted by the contrast between his voice here and in The Big Freeze. They couldn't have gotten someone who sounds a little like Robert Guillaume. Thicknose tells them that Hidden Runner is real, and he's been around for generations, which should stand to reason. I mean, there's gotta be more than one of his species in the world, right? And it's just a rare kind? I suppose Hidden Runner could be like the prehistoric equivalent of Bigfoot. Mr. Thicknose is ready to jump on the opportunity to see the creature for himself, though I have to question his logic in beginning the hunt.
Last time, Hidden Runner was spotted at the dark caves on the hill. About a 2-day walk.
Excuse me, the last possible sighting was by Petrie early this morning. That's kind of the whole reason this conversation is happening. Wouldn't you want to search around his place first? Whatever the case, this leads Mr. Thicknose to break into the adventuring song from the Great Longneck Migration.
I have to go adventuring while Hidden Runner's back.
The makers of the show must have really liked that song because there are 7 variations of it throughout the season. And this one is okay, I guess.
Is it true he cannot be seen? He's really real or really mean?
You'll never know unless you go.
And as the song concludes, they all want to go adventuring too.
You can all come if you like. Just ask your parents before we go.
And then it skips past the kids asking their parents and immediately jumps to the beginning of the trip, although I think we can all put together how it went. Mom, Dad, Mr. Thicknose is taking us on a hunt for a shark tooth that turns invisible. Can I go? Okay, just don't bring along too many pixie sticks. Though I kinda wish they kept the extra bit from the storyboards, where after Thicknose tells them to ask their parents, Petrie's like, "Ask parents? But what if parents say yes?" He forgets to flap his wings and falls to the ground with a thud. But at least along the way, we do get a handful of other chuckle-worthy lines.
Seeing Hidden Runner is probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
What if Hidden Runner eat us?
Then it'll definitely be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
For the entire trip, Cera insists that she's not at all afraid and she never has sleep stories, but that doesn't stop her from having one that night, in which she's running away not from Hidden Runner, but from a fire-breathing dragon. Gotta say, I appreciate the realism of having a dream about something that is triggered by a certain fear, but isn't precisely what that fear is. Though it does get a bit tropey again, with her friends appearing as floating ghost heads taunting her for being afraid.
Were you having sleep? No, you woke me up is all.
I do kind of like Gerard Prideaux's edit where Cera has a nightmare about the snake from Redwall. Now this is another trope that we've seen in countless other children's cartoons. One character refuses to admit that they ever get scared, but by the end of the episode wind up exposing themselves to their friends, and they learn that everyone is afraid sometimes, and that's okay. It's been done a million times, sure. However, on a plus side, this is kind of a nice holdover from the Great Longneck Migration. Remember, that was the first time Cera claimed that three horns don't have sleep stories. Littlefoot may or may not have believed her, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that the others did. And looking back, they never actually found out that she does have dreams in that movie. So that carries over into this episode. It's Cera still living that lie. And knowing that, I don't think I'd expect Cera to be any other way in this situation. As they continue the search the next morning, they hear a distant cry that Mr. Thicknose recognizes.
Hidden Runner, we're getting close.
That sound became instantly recognizable to me too. And you know who's doing it? Rob Paulson. I thought it was just Frank Welker who was so great with the animal sounds, but this is an area of Rob Paulson's incredible vocal talent that I didn't even really know he had. Man, and he said I had a great set of pipes. So since they're so close to finding what they're looking for, naturally this is the time to break into song again. One that has a familiar tune.
Hidden runner, a scary hidden runner.
Okay, putting a slightly different spin on some of the classic songs like they do with Adventuring and Friends for Dinner in another episode, that's tolerable. But recycling the tune with completely different lyrics and subject as they're doing with Big Water here, that's just too lazy in my opinion. It doesn't help that this is one of the numerous instances where it's less a song and more just conversations, statements, and commands set to music.
Kids, just follow me now through the trees. I think we're close.
Ah well, I'll still take that any day over.
Oops, eeps, I made a mistake. Oops, eeps.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
By the way, is that Spike singing along?
Hidden runner.
Ducky! Mama! The hidden runner. One of those is not like the others. Also, am I the only one who finds it a little odd that their encounter with the creature is not happening at night? Yeah, you call your episode the Spooky Nighttime Adventure, and a whole 3 minutes and 23 seconds of the actual adventure take place at nighttime. Regardless, they enter one of the caves to find his shadow on the wall, but before Mr. Thicknose can finally see him up close, Cera freaks out and runs away, which causes the hidden runner to do likewise. The others follow her outside, at which point she's forced to admit that she is afraid and that she does have sleep stories like everyone else.
True bravery is to admit you're afraid and face your fear anyway, like your friends.
Now we reach the point in the episode that kind of surprised me. In most other shows, this would be when the characters discover that there was really nothing all along, that the source of their fear was something silly or mundane. But here, the characters actually find something. The episode stays the course. Hidden Runner is indeed real. Sure, it's not that scary, in fact, it's a very timid Sharptooth. I think it's a Troodon, which would make it the polar opposite of the specimens in the Jurassic Park Telltale game. But what about the invisibility part of the legend? Well, it turns out he doesn't turn invisible, but rather he camouflages with his environment. I like that. Taking into consideration the ways that clueless dinosaurs might interpret strange but natural characteristics of other animals, that's really clever, and it kind of makes the world of The Land Before Time feel bigger. And leave it to Petrie to summarize the discovery so eloquently.
Hidden runner, not invisible. He only looked that way.
Oh, Petrie, can't live with ya, can't live without ya. Well, that's the Spooky Nighttime Adventure. A decent episode. It doesn't always make complete sense, and it does exhibit some children's TV cliches, as the show often does. But in this case, I can overlook that for the moments of creativity that are there too, as well as even just the little things that it does for the characters and world. It's one of 3 or 4 episodes that I do care to rewatch every now and then, as I do with most of the movies. And even as part of an overall mediocre show, that does certainly count for something. So that does it for this Halloween special. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I'm considering doing more of these videos on individual episodes from the TV series, if you care to see them. So comment below which ones you'd like to hear me talk about, and maybe the one that gets commented the most I'll do next. And don't forget, if you want to hear from me more often, you can subscribe to my primary channel, Popp Culture. Link will be in the description. Thank you all for watching. I'm your host, Alex Popp, and a happy Halloween to all of you.